Before selecting a positioning base, it's important to understand the strengths and weaknesses of both the organization and the competition when creating a positioning strategy. When it comes to selecting the right positioning base for our organization or for our products, a business will begin by conducting research to better understand the customer and create a perceptual map to see how our current customers or how the market in general perceives our products compared to our competition. And by using this information, create a positioning statement. A positioning statement explains the target market for the product, the benefit of the product, and how the product is different than the competitors. When creating a positioning statement, it is important to determine a pain point of the customer. Customers often buy on a want rather than a need impulse. By talking to a customer's pain point, it is often possible to address the need impulse and the want impulse at the same time. If both of these issues can be addressed, then it's easier to overcome objections regarding the product. Companies have different options when it comes to how to position their products. And every company can choose to compete on the same basis or potentially different bases. In today's world, with so much competition, no matter how you realistically position your product, you're going to be facing competition from a few different organizations, often for different reasons, but sometimes for exactly the same. So let's have a look at a few, shall we? The first one is attribute, associating your brand or product with certain characteristics. For example, KFC, finger licking good. A glass and a half in every half pound, Cadbury. And once you pop, you can't stop, Pringles. Now, for each of these companies, they have positioned on the basis of attribute, something that the customer can grab onto. The next one is price and quality, associating your brand or your product with a competitive pricing. Now here we got two different ends of the market. You've got Walmart and Mercedes-Benz. For Walmart, it's about saving money and living better. Whereas for Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Now, both of these companies, though different industries, are looking at completely different ends of the market from a price perspective. However, both of them are using price and quality as their positioning base. The next one is use or application, associating your brand or product with a specific use. When it's absolutely positively has to be there overnight, Federal Express or FedEx. Don't leave home without it, American Express. So here, both of these brands are looking at use or application, associating their brands and their products with something very specific. Think about FedEx, right? If you want to send something from point A to point B, maybe a letter, maybe a parcel from, say, Melbourne to Sydney, time isn't super critical, use Ozpost. But if time is very, very critical, then you might look at alternative delivery services, in this case, FedEx. Product class. The positioning strategy tends to take a leadership position in the overall market. Statements with the general message of we are the best in our field are very common. So for example, Duracell, no battery is stronger, longer. Now, for a company like Duracell, competing against organizations like Energizer or Everready, for them, these are generic products, more or less the same thing, doing the same thing. But the way they have positioned themselves is they are stronger and longer lasting. Hence, product class, hence, they are the leaders in this particular category. The fifth positioning base we're going to look at is product user. Here, approach highlights the user, the ideal or representative target consumer, and suggests that the product is the ideal solution for that type of person and may even contribute to their social self-identity. For example, for Adidas, impossible is nothing. For Coca-Cola, always Coca-Cola. For Pepsi, choice of a new generation. Now, for all three cases here, if you have a look at these brands, they are looking at it from the perspective of our brand is perfect for our customer. And our customer, our consumer, is almost elevated by the choices that they've made. Now, the last one that we're going to look at for today is competition. Making consumers think that your brand or product is better than your competition. Now, this is a really interesting strategy to use because it can either isolate or alienate your brand, as in your customers or competitors look at you and go, "Ooh, you're good, but you're not that good." Or it could help to really build a very, very strong brand following. For example, for Apple, everything is easier on a Mac. For Avis Rent-A-Car, we try harder. Avis positions itself as a market leader, while some of its competitors attempt to attract a different market by offering different services. For Subway, Eat Fresh. Now for Subway, they're looking at their competition being fast food, and they're trying to promote that we are, from a competition perspective, healthier and fresher than someone like, say, McDonald's. Whereas for Apple, everything is easier on Mac. Now, this one, yeah, it does hold true for Apple users. At the same time, if you look at it, Apple actually competes on quite a few of these particular position bases. For example, product user, definitely competitor. Product class, probably not, because they're a different operating system altogether, so they're not really competing against other competition in that respect. The positioning base that you choose is really important, as your competition, your customers, and even people inside your organization will perceive your company, perceive your brand, and perceive your products. So it's important to get the positioning right. Sometimes, no matter how well you have positioned yourself in the market, things change. The industry changes. The demand for a product changes. Maybe that thing that you did really well no longer has a demand in the future. Think about Blockbuster Video as a company. They were everywhere, and they were doing a pretty decent job. But of course, in today's world, we are streaming all of our content. So sometimes you have to reposition your product. Repositioning, changing the appeal of a product or brand so that it can compete better in relation to rival brands or in a new market segment altogether.